Hey, everybody, welcome to the Gateway to Grace call. My name's Elizabeth Tobin, and this is my monthly free teleconference where we do a repatterning. And today I wanted to talk about relationships and family patterns. And I've been hearing from a lot of people that they're feeling lonely and isolated because they feel that they can't relate to others, or maybe they've been hurt in the past and they don't want to open up to people again. So they avoid relationship. And as we move forward, interpersonal relationships and creating communities of support are going to be really important. It's kind of ironic that we can meet people from all over the world in the virtual sphere. And many wonderful friendships and collaborations have come out of this. I mean, look at us here today, right? There are people from all over the world connecting, and that's wonderful. And the irony is that for many people, it's easier to maintain these kind of broad-based virtual connections than it is to sustain fulfilling day-to-day interpersonal relationships. And I think that an essential next step into unity consciousness is getting right with our relationships with the people that we personally interact with on a day-to-day basis. Many people like the idea of oneness, but when it comes to being in a close relationship with someone, then they struggle. And so they tend to isolate. And then this leads to feeling lonely and disconnected, because as human beings, we are social creatures, and connection and interaction and human contact is a basic life need. So how can we move into oneness if we can't enjoy being with the people around us? Our indigenous elders tell us that now is the time of the great purification and the cleansing that precedes humanity reuniting as one human family. And we are our ancestors returned. And this is why working with family patterns, I think, is really essential right now. And so, as you can imagine, families are these complex, multi-layered energy systems. And there are some universal principles that apply, and there are patterns that we all carry as part of the human family. Our energetic patterns get passed down through the family system. And it's estimated that 80% of our present day problems can be attributed to non-coherent patterns passed down through the generations in our family system. And you can extrapolate this to the 80% of the present day problems that not only you personally are experiencing, but the challenges and the problems that the world is experiencing collectively. And healing your family patterns can be the key that opens the door to being able to manifest your heart's desires. When you clear your family patterns, you open to receive all of the loving nurturance that flows to you through your family system and your generational line. And you have more energy, you feel more alive, you feel more confident and capable, you're harmonious, your relationships are more harmonious, your life literally changes, and the world around you changes as well. And there's one principle that I want to talk about before we move into the work that we're going to do today. And that is, in when working with family systems and family patterns, there's this thing called the unconscious. Like every family has unconscious rules that each member of the family follows in order to feel that they belong. And belonging to our tribe is a basic life need. You know, when you think about as infants, we come into this world, we need the support of our mother, our father, our primary caregiver, whoever that might be. We can't make it on our own. And so we need to belong to the family system in order to survive. And so on the unconscious level, belonging to the family system is equated with, it's coupled with survival. And when you break the rules, your unconscious tells you that your right to belong is in jeopardy. And so many of these rules may not serve you, and they may be keeping you in limitation. And so in order for you to grow, you need to break some of these family rules, these unconscious rules. And then this sets up this inner conflict that generates really unpleasant feelings when you try to move beyond the quote unquote acceptable behavior or the permitted behavior of your family conscience. Then you can have these unexplained feelings of guilt, shame, anxiety, unworthiness. And these can really get in the way. I think we all know that they can get in the way of being able to really live the life that we came here to live, and to live out our fate in the way that is most beneficial, not only for us, but for the rest of society as well. And you can see this play out in interpersonal relationships where these family patterns collide. You know, two people get in relationship and the family patterns are like duking it out, who's going to win? And both partners really want to transcend the limits of the family pattern and create a relationship that is nurturing and supportive and that sustains both of them, while it honors the unique gifts and talents and destiny and pathway of each partner in the relationship. And yet, so oftentimes we get hindered by these family patterns. So I'm going to be starting another new group. I started one last month. And so this is a group that it's not a proxy session. It's a small group. We meet on Zoom. There's going to be a maximum of 6 participants, and we'll meet 3 times a month for 6 months. And so the group is designed to be a supportive container to hold and nurture you as you move through these family patterns and as you take your next best steps. And when you have this kind of support, what's wanting to emerge for you in your relationships and in your life feels possible, it feels doable, and it's achievable. So you're able to move through all of these family rules and limitations, because what we're doing is we're imprinting a new pattern of support. We're coupling support with thriving, not just with fearful surviving. And so being in this supportive container over an extended period of time will give you the physical experience of what it's like to be supported and nourished in relationship. And that is a real game changer. That'll change not only your partner relationships or your friendships, your family relationships, your interpersonal relationships. It'll change your relationship to yourself, your relationship to work, your relationship to the world at large. it's really far-reaching, multidimensional. It's a game changer. So that group's going to be starting this month. And so if this speaks to you, if you're curious, reach out to me and we'll set up a time to talk. And we'll see, if the group is right for you. And I'll stay on the line after we do the session today. If there's anybody that wants to schedule while we're on the call, that might be easier. So let's take a little pause here and see where we're going to go with this topic, family patterns and relationships. And I see a few more people have joined us. Hey, Nishkala, great to see you. Hi there, Janine, welcome. Welcome. Adriana, nice to see you. Wonderful. Hey, Laurie, there you are. And Len, hello, Len. Wonderful. Andrea, you. Good, good. Okay, so the first thing I want you to do is just take a pause and connect in with your center. And I'm going to ask you a question. And just say whatever comes up. You can raise your hand or you can type it in the chat. What relationship that you have is being challenged or negatively affected by your family patterns? Sharon says all of them. Okay, yeah. Starlight says the one with myself first. Right, right. Interesting. Starlight's been doing womb work. Right. Yeah. So let's see. Tabitha says her relationship with the divine spirit source. And each person that you meet is a part of the divine. The divine dwells in them. It dwells within you. Yeah. Janine says the issue of a family pattern of isolation in her soulmate relationship. Yeah. Yeah. And he says all relationships. Leanne says it's with her brother. He hasn't worked on the patterns and she has. And I just want to say a little about that. So when we do this work with the family patterns, it benefits you individually. And it's also like uploading into the family conscience a new program that each member of the family has access to. They can download the key for this new set of family patterns that you are resonating with, if that's part of their path. And I've seen this in my own family. I have done some year-long proxy groups on clearing family patterns a number of times. And one time I did it, I noticed that the relationship with my father just got really, really easy. Like we were never estranged and there was never like any outward sort of animosity or anything like that. But I just kind of felt like I didn't fit in and I didn't know how to talk to him. And silence would be really awkward. And so after doing this work, the relationship just really smoothed out. And in his later years, it was a real gift to me to be able just to be with him and not feel like I had to like fill the silence. You know, we could just, you know, take a ride in the car, go out to lunch or visit a museum or something and not feel like, you know, I had to keep the conversation going. It was just, you know, just a real like comfort to be with him as he was. And I just felt like I could be with him as I was. And so when you do this work, these family patterns, when you change your family patterns within yourself, it opens the space for the rest of the family system to move into a more coherent state of order and well-being and relationship as well. And you might notice it in your kids or your nieces and nephews. You might notice it in your parents or your siblings, or you might not. You know, that's the thing. It's so subtle that sometimes we don't notice the shifts. But I think just knowing that that's an aspect of the work and the possibility is there to heal yourself, the generations before you, your current generation, and the generations ahead of you, I think is really powerful. Okay, so let's see. So Sherwood, hey Sherwood, good to see you. Sherwood says 13-year-old child and partner plus siblings and parents. So the family unit, right? Yeah. Dana says with myself and with my sisters. Yeah. And Laurie says my niece, my brother who passed away, and other immediate family. Carol says with 2 spiritual support groups, highly sensitive people. Yeah. Yeah, and it's, you know, it's interesting. I'm in some spiritual support groups on Facebook, and I see a lot of people talking about, number one, how isolated and lonely they feel and how they don't feel like they fit in. But I also see them talking about how they've cut ties with their biological family, and they've replaced the biological family with like friendships. And I'm not advocating anybody to stay in relationship with anybody that is abusive, including a family member. And that's not what this work is about. It doesn't require us, when we heal our relationship with somebody in the family system, it doesn't require that we have to maintain actual contact with that person if it's not for our highest and best, if that person is abusive. That's not what this is about. But what it is about, it's about the internal posture that we hold towards that person, even if we have to cut off physical contact and never speak to them again. It's the way we hold them in our heart and in our mind, and the way that we honor them for the place that they hold in our family system. So each member of the family system, grandparents, mother, father, siblings, aunts, uncles, children, all have a right to belong in the family. And when we try to separate ourselves out from our biological family, we can actually do more damage than good if we don't do it in a way that honors the family for the love. Even if it was toxic love, it's still a form of love that the family members, in most cases, try to give. And so we honor them. We honor our parents for bringing us into the world. And that's enough. Some parents maybe that might have been all that they did for us. And then there might have been years of trauma and abuse that happened after that. But if we can just go to the core of, these people brought me into the world, they gave me the gift of life, I can honor them for that. And the rest I can do by myself. I can develop healthy relationships with a partner, with friends, with a spiritual community, without looking to overlay the relationship of my parents or my family system on these other relationships that I have. So Laurie says she's attracted many people who've become like family, that are positive relationships. And she keeps getting clearer that she deserves love. And I don't have to define myself by those who reject who I am. That's powerful. There's real freedom in that. And that's, in a nutshell, that's stepping out of the victim role, right? And that's a big aspect of healing the family system, is stepping out of the codependent triangle and the victim role, and also stepping out of the rescuer role as well. In a lot of families, the parents and the children have this sort of flipped relationship where the kids feel like they're taking care of the parents. The parents are sort of leaning on the kids for emotional support, maybe even financial support. And when we're young, that's not the proper flow, right? The parent is the supporter. The parent gives and nurtures the child. The child receives from the parent. It's not the child's job to try to figure out how do I keep my mother happy so she's engaged with me, or how do I keep my father happy so that he'll stay in the family. That's not the child's job. And yet so many people, especially highly sensitive people, when we're kids, man, we pick up on that stuff. It doesn't ever have to be said. We fall right in line with what the family patterns are. And we take on things that are not ours to take on. And then as adults, we kind of have to go and sort of reflip the pattern. So, do some cleanup work. So let's see where we need to go today with all of this. Yeah, so just take a little pause and we'll see. So there's a lot of different relationships that people have mentioned. Ray had mentioned relationship with money. And, if you think about money, that is, that's how adults receive support. That's how we nurture ourselves as an adult. That's one way, by being able to, take care of our basic life needs and pay our bills. So certainly, money is tied up with support and nurturance, and I've done whole series on money, but yeah, definitely family patterns around money for sure. Yeah. Okay. So I'm just going to check to see what we need to do at this time. It's best at this time to open up the lines to get any more information. No. Okay. It's best for us at this time to move into a repatterning that is focused on a family pattern. Yes. Okay. And yeah, Annette says food is another way that we as adults, right, nurture ourselves. And sometimes, food issues, weight, extra weight, underweight, all of that can tie into family patterns, how we nurture ourselves or don't nurture ourselves with food. Using food as a substitute for relationship certainly is a common one as well. So I'm just muscle checking here, the group energy field. And so if you are wanting to be included, I'm going to ask your permission. May I include you in this session? And you can say yes. And if you're listening to the recording, you can say yes right now and be included. And I also heard from a number of people that wanted to be included by proxy, so they are being included as well. So what we need is, we need to look at a repatterning from this section. Yes, okay. So let's see here. So there are 9 options. So it's something from 1 through 5. It's number 6, number 7, number 8. Oh, the violent cycles repatterning. Interesting. So let's see what we need to do with this. This is yeah, this is a very powerful repatterning and very appropriate. I used to work at a battered women's shelter before I started doing this work. And, you know, we used to talk about the cycle of violence, that it repeats generationally. So there's something that we need to hear from the introduction. Yeah, something from here, 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 here. Okay. So this is talking about, there are cases in which it is possible that we are compensated for a harm done to us. And the ideal is that we would give back less of the harm. So the violent cycle is usually somebody causes me harm, I retaliate, and I up the ante. I cause them more harm. And then they retaliate back and they up the ante. They cause me harm. And it keeps going until the violence escalates, 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 escalates. And this is like, you can see this with wars, you know, between countries, how, you know, the violence escalates. And so when someone does harm to us, if we don't do that escalation, then that helps to break the cycle. So let's see, there's something more we need to hear from the introduction. No, okay. Okay, so we need to look at, a specific relationship. We do, okay. So this could be something that you have personally experienced, or it could be a generational pattern that maybe somebody back in your ancestry experienced this. And also remember when I said that we are our ancestors returned? So it could be past life, because you may have been that ancestor back in the generational line. So let's see what we need here. There's something from 1 through 5, 6 through 10, number 6, number 7, number 8. So what came up is I murder, even if it's accidentally or indirectly. Wow, I murder. And then there's something more we need to say about that. No, okay. There's something from this section, yeah. So this is the coherent pattern that is needed. Let's see. So obviously this is a perpetrator pattern that we're working with. And I'm just going to check. We also need to work with a victim pattern at this time. No, okay, interesting. Perpetrator pattern. So let's look at the coherent pattern that's needed to stop being a perpetrator. And it's something here from 1 through 5. It's number 1. Yeah. So I am aware of the emotions and the energy of the perpetrator that I have in me, and I direct them towards the best. So let's check that. Say, I am aware of the emotions and the energy of the perpetrator that I have in me. And I direct them towards the best. Yeah, and we're not resonating with that. And let's check this one. Say, I murder. Yeah, and that is on. So it's interesting. I'm gonna actually pop this one into the chat. Because there's a lot of like when I murder came up, I was thinking, okay, you know, there's literal murder, and then there's like murdering our dreams, you know, there's self-destructive behavior. You know, this might be playing out in your life by somehow holding yourself back, you know, not going for what you want, self-destructive behavior. And so this is about being able to be aware of that energy within ourselves, that perpetrator energy, and direct it in the best way. So if you think about the perpetrator energy, you know, when people think of perpetrators, they normally think of it's something bad, but there are also gifts in the perpetrator energy. So this is like shadow work. There's always a gift within the shadow, right? And the gift of the perpetrator energy is, you know, it's outward moving, it's assertive, it's it allows us to defend ourselves if necessary, in whatever way that might be, so that, you know, so people don't take advantage of us. You know, it allows us to take care of ourselves and set boundaries. You know, that's one way that we can defend. You know, that's the perpetrator. It's, you know, it's very outward moving, active energy that doesn't necessarily have to be destructive when we can become aware of the emotions and the energy behind these impulses to be a perpetrator and redirect them into a more beneficial channel. You know, it's like taking your anger and working for positive change in the world. You know, that's sort of the energy that with that. So let's see. there's something that we need to look at from here. Something from here. Yeah, okay. So there's a feeling that we need to identify. And the feeling is 1 through 5, 6 through 10, 6, 7, 8, 9. Deprivation. That makes sense, right? You can see how that feeling of deprivation can cross over into your relationship with money, you know, your interpersonal relationships, your relationship with work, your purpose. Yeah. So say deprivation. And that's resonating, that's on. You can see how that could relate to your relationship with food. There's something from here, something from here. So this is looking at the coherent pattern that's needed for the family system. And it's A, B, C. So the victims receive a dignified place in the system and carry their fate with dignity. So say the victims receive a dignified place in the system, the family system. And carry their fate with dignity. Yeah, and that's off. We're not resonating with that.
Can you repeat that, Liz, and type it in, please?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, the victims receive a dignified place in the system and carry their fate with dignity. I'll type it in here. Yeah. And I was just thinking about, you know, I murder. I found out after my uncle passed away that he was in World War II, and apparently he killed somebody. Like, I don't know the full details, but he carried that with him throughout his life as a really heavy burden. And so, you know, sometimes, you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be sort of interpersonal violence. It could be societal violence that people are, you know, expected to carry out. Yeah. Yeah. So let's see what we need here. So then there's something from here that we need to release. Yeah. So this is the pattern that we need to release. And it's something from A, B, C, D. The victims refuse to carry their fate, and the pattern repeats itself. And that could go back to what we talked about earlier in terms of the escalation, the retaliation and upping the ante. I got to say, some of these repatternings are very esoteric. Oftentimes it's not a straight linear line that you can see, but what most people find is that afterwards they feel lighter, they feel more free, they feel more embodied. So let's check this. Say the victims refuse to carry their fate, and the pattern repeats itself. Okay, I'm going to check that umbilically. Yeah, we're resonating with that at a core level. So we are umbilically on for that. Yeah. And then we need to identify the number of generations that we're working with here. So let's see. The number of generations, this is on the mother's side, it's on the father's side that we're working with now. And the number of generations is 1 through 5. It's 1, it's 2. 2 generations on father's side. So this is stop representing the victims and the perpetrators in the family system. Okay, I'm going to pop this into the chat for you. And Sherwood says she's sensing a big part of this pattern for her is manipulation, which is slowly taking someone else's vital energy, not for the highest good of all, but for perceived personal benefit. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And Carolyn wanted me to talk more on what I said about people being lonely. I can come back to that if we have time at the end. Yeah. So this is what we're looking at here. I am free from 2 generations on my father's side from the violent cycles pattern. I am now at peace, and I stop representing the victims and perpetrators of my family system. Yeah, and we're not resonating with that. So I just put that one in the chat so you can see it. Okay. So now we're going to do a modality to integrate the perpetrator and the victim's energy. So let's see here. So what I want you to do is close your eyes. Just get comfortable. And connect with your breath, breathing in and out through your nose as deeply as you can. And imagine, feel, or visualize the color red. And this red color is going to represent perpetrators That is the energy that there is in your system to defend yourself, to attack, to perpetrate, to harm. This red color will also represent all of those who are harmed by you or by someone in your family system, or the members in your family system who have caused harm, all of the perpetrators. And this color red should be bright and luminous. And it's okay if you're not seeing the color red. If you're seeing another color, that's fine. Now, inhale this bright, luminous color red. This is the energy and the strength of perpetrators. And integrate it into the right side of your body. Let it be integrated in every part of your body, from your head to your toes on the right side, all the way down into your cells. Now you can imagine, visualize, or feel the color blue. This color is going to represent victims. That is the energy of being vulnerable or weak. It also represents all of those whom you or someone else in your system have harmed, and all who have been harmed in your family system. And this color blue should be bright and luminous. And now inhale this blue that represents the victims and integrate it into the left side of your body. Let it be integrated in every part of your body, from your head down to your toes. Now you can feel, imagine, visualize how these colors, the red and the blue, which stand for the perpetrators and the victims, are in you, and they become a part of you. You can feel and imagine how they integrate and mingle in your body. Allow this to happen until both energies are at peace, in total balance. And I'm just going to check to see what else we need to support this process, this mingling of the red and the blue, the victim and perpetrator energy. Something from 1 through 5, 6. Yeah, so there's some harmonic overtones. So I'm going to do some harmonic overtones while you feel, imagine, or visualize the colors red and blue integrating and mingling inside your body. Good, and that is complete. Okay, this is complete. And when you're ready, you can bring your attention back into the here and now. And just notice how you feel now. Good. Henny says she feels more relaxed. Great. Good. So let's go back and we'll recheck. Starlight said she felt that go up her neck and then down into her back between her shoulder blades. She could feel the release. Great. Good. And were you able to integrate and mingle the two colors? For some people, the red and the blue might turn purple. For other people, it's kind of like stripes or polka dots, but there's equal red and blue. Great. Good. So Carol has to leave us. Thanks, Carol. So let's go back and we'll recheck. Tabitha felt the merging created greater compassion. That's wonderful. I love this one. Janine said she saw them shake hands and hug. And then the stripes turned into purple. Very cool. Nice. Okay, so let's check this. Say, I murder. Yeah, and we're not resonating with that. That is off. Say, I am aware of the emotions and the energy of the perpetrator that I have in me. And I direct them toward the best. Excellent. That is on. Beautiful. And say deprivation. And that is off, not resonating with that. Say the victims receive a dignified place in the family system. And they carry their fate with dignity. Yeah, and that's resonating. And I think this is really important because I think all of us have experienced at one time or another what it's like to feel victimized. And we might feel victimized by somebody else. We might feel victimized by circumstances, by life. And if we're able to carry our fate with dignity, that suggests that we're able to continue to stay in life, to stay engaged, and to continue to live our purpose and our fate and our reason for being here. We don't get defeated by those times when we felt victimized. We don't give up, which, you know, a lot of people on this planet do feel defeated and have given up. And so this is, I think this is really important to be aware of, you know, that the victim part of us can receive a dignified place and carry that with dignity. And so let's check this. Say the victims refuse to carry their fate and the pattern repeats itself. And that's off. We're not resonating with that. You know, and that again is, you know, if that victim part of us refuses to carry our fate, there's the part of us that's given up. And it makes it a lot harder to actually function in the world if there's a part of us that has given up. And then here's this last one. Say, I am free from 2 generations on my father's side from the violence cycles pattern. I am now at peace. And I stop representing the victims and perpetrators in my family system. Yeah, and we're resonating with that. Good, good. Great. So there's anything more that's needed from this session? No, the session is complete. Yeah, great. Well, thank you, everybody. Wonderful, wonderful. So, yeah, thank you. So Starlight said she was grateful for the discernment in the language. Yes, you're welcome. You're welcome. So yeah, so take a little pause and just let that all settle in. And just notice that sense of inner peace. What we've done is we've integrated two conflicting energies within ourselves to bring more harmony and peace within. And we know that that then radiates out into our life, into our relationships, into our work, and it uplifts the whole. So that's great. Thank you. So I'm going to open up the lines if anybody has any questions or comments. And if you would like to schedule with me to learn more about the Family Patterns group that I'm going to be starting, we can stay on the line and do that, or you can email me at et@liztobin.com, and we can set up a time to talk if that's something that you're interested in learning more about. So great. Len says, thanks so much. You're welcome, Len. Great to have you. Laurie, yes.
Yeah, so I identified this system pattern with my father, who very much considered himself a victim, but was very much a perpetrator. And it was a constant thing of we as children were victimizing him with our actions and our words. And it was very consternating and very fear producing. So I like that being free, for 2 generations on my father's side for the violence pattern. I'm now at peace, and I stopped representing the victims and perpetrators in my family system, and that the victims receive a dignified place. That really hits me very strongly, because there never felt anything dignified about this dynamic in my family and in myself. Has been really painful to see how I have been, the anger of lashing out at people and creating great schisms, which I have moved into a much better place through a lot of work and spiritual work. But it just seems that somehow, okay, I guess what I wanted to get at was this idea of removing that from my father and from these people in my family. Even my brother, who passed, very much acted out this way, and I just happened to be the focus of a lot of his feeling of victimization. So can this really heal generations? I hear that so much.
I believe it. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Every healing that you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just gonna mute you because it was the echo on the line there.
Oh,
yeah.
And just sending love, being able to open our hearts to love, which I have done. Love these people, and accept that the pain that they were part of this system.
Right.
But I don't want to engage in that in my life anymore.
Right. Great. Thank you. Thank you. Good. Good. Yes, Tabitha.
2 things. It was just remembering a conversation. I was up all night arguing with an ex-boyfriend about whether men or women had suffered more. And I know it's so futile. And by the end of it, we came to the conclusion that we'd all suffered, and maybe poor people had suffered more than rich people, but men and women. So we kind of found that truth. And I've had this idea, this sense of like, it doesn't really matter who started it anymore, like with wars or any of it. But there's something like in this repatterning address that we have to let it's important to not spiritual bypass and let the victim, be honored, and then we can just let it go and just all have a nice time. But just stop it, all of us. you know,
Right,
really. Thank
right.
you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else have any questions or anything you want to add? Great. So I will be putting the recording up on YouTube. If you're on my mailing list, I'll send out an email when it's up if you want to go back and redo this repatterning. If you subscribe to my YouTube channel, they will send you a notice when it's up. So that is that. So thank you. Thank you, everybody, for coming. I will see you next month, first Monday of the month. And if you are interested in learning more about the group that I'm going to be starting, reach out to me and we'll set up a time to talk. So great. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Liz.
Many blessings to you.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye, honey. Thank you. Okay.
I gotta stop the recording here.